Welcome in, everybody. My name is Kevin Crispin. I am the Chief of Staff for My Pets Wellness. This is the weekly wellness podcast with My Pets Wellness. So today I am lucky enough to be joined today by our veterinarian ambassador, Dr. Rebekah. Hey, Dr. Rebekah, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well, thank you.
Great. I want to point out, we called you veterinarian ambassador. The first word, you are in fact a doctor of veterinary medicine.
I am indeed.
Awesome. So tell me how, I feel like I've heard this story in many different ways from the doctors that I've worked with. Tell me how you decided that you wanted to be in veterinary medicine and what kind of path you took to get there.
Yeah, so my final path ended up being fairly convoluted.
Okay.
I started out when I was 6, telling my parents, I love animals. I'm going to become a veterinarian and graduate from the University of Georgia School of Veterinary Medicine.
And what was their response? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're like, okay, you're going to have to work really hard.
Yeah.
So, in handwriting, I made sure I was very meticulous.
Oh, there you go.
Got an A, but
Nice.
yeah, so that was how it all started. I like a lot of veterinarians, I feel like I knew pretty early on, I had an interest in animals. I had an interest in that career path. So as I got to high school, I continued having interest in the sciences, got to college, and really started exploring everything that was out there in a lot of different fields. So while I was in high school, I actually worked for my family's veterinarian, got some experience there, first in the kennel, and then, got to shadow him for a bit.
Oh, I bet that was fun.
It was fantastic. Yeah. And then I got to college and I was like, okay, I really love veterinary medicine, but this course in ecology is really interesting. And I'm doing research in evolutionary genetics. This is fascinating. And so I started to realize that my interests were really multifaceted. And so I enjoyed all of the classes in biology, ecology, pharmacology that I was taking. And so I kind of explored while I was an undergraduate a lot of different fields through kind of trial and error. Okay. So I did research, like I mentioned, in that lab. I worked actually as a pharmacy tech for a couple of years to explore the field of pharmacy. Yeah. Okay. While I was an undergrad. I minored in ecology and took an avian biology course in Costa Rica. So I did a lot of experience. Yeah, a lot of different kind of fields in the sciences. Mm-hmm. And shadowed human physicians and surgeons, and felt like I got a really broad understanding of the fields that were out there in general. Okay. So as I came to the end of my undergraduate experience, it was the time that I was trying to figure out, where do I go from here? I have all of these different interests in research, public health, ecology, veterinary medicine. How do I incorporate all of these into a sensible career? Right. Where do I go from here? And so it occurred to me that veterinary medicine actually is comparative in nature. It inherently looks at the differences and similarities between species. It incorporates public health, wildlife medicine, ecology, even comparative medicine in terms of research. It includes kind of these concepts that can be applied to both veterinary medicine and to human medicine. Okay. So to me, it was a natural fit. Of course, I'm going to go to veterinary school because it's kind of a jumping off point that I could, pursue a lot of different interests and paths from veterinary school. So that was what led me there. Okay. Initially. So it is kind of convoluted, but all along the same kind of path. Yeah,
the scientific path.
Exactly.
Yeah. So now we know that. So tell us about your role here at My Pets Wellness as the veterinarian ambassador.
Yeah, so as you said, I'm the veterinarian ambassador. So my primary role really is to expand upon and help develop the DVM support network, which can be a resource to veterinarians that are out there, that they can use kind of as a wellness hub. And that's something that's near and dear to my heart. So that's something that I think is...
What do you mean by wellness hub?
So to me, it's kind of this... central resource for veterinarians that are out there that are interested in wellness or curious about wellness, or perhaps they've reached a point in their career that they've burned out like a lot of veterinarians do, and they need some support. They need a community that they're able to go to that understands that has resources for them, that they can really dive into. And My Pets Wellness has developed a resource called DVM Support Network, where it's kind of this hub of information and of, support that veterinarians are able to access.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited to be able to get to work with that and hopefully provide, a sounding board for other veterinarians who are going through wellness struggles like a lot of us do.
Yeah. And it's very clear with the way that you describe that obviously wellness is something that you feel is of paramount importance in the veterinary industry.
Absolutely.
So talk a little bit about like what your experience has been with wellness in the veterinarian industry.
Yeah. So my experience actually started in veterinary school.
Okay.
Within the first month, veterinary school is really intensive, lots of work. But within the first month, I realized, vet school was going to be 4 years of sitting in the same classroom with the other 101 people that were in my class.
Mm-hmm.
And that if I wasn't careful about it, if I wasn't intentional, it was really easy to categorize myself as a veterinary student. And that's it. And leave it at that.
Okay.
I was going to be sitting in that room for 8 to 10 hours a day, every day for 4 years. And it occurred to me within that first month that in order to avoid categorizing myself solely as a veterinary student, I needed to be really intentional about what type of life I wanted to cultivate. That's 4 years of your life that you are experiencing, hopefully, outside of the classroom. And so I started working as a waitress while I was in vet school to be able to make connections outside of the immediate, community that had been
there in
for
Athens.
Me. There in Athens, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I joined an a cappella group.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, out of the School of Ecology.
Yeah.
I did research. So I made sure to be very intentional about the things that I defined as making me a whole human. I was a human first. I'm Rebekah first.
Yes.
And I happen to be studying as a veterinary student.
That is, I think, really wise. And I think especially when you're chasing a goal as complicated and challenging as becoming a veterinarian, it can be very easy, I imagine, to have one narrow focus and be like, I'm going to be a vet. And the fact that you took that time and found that balance, I'm sure was really, you kept saying intentional and purposeful.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was really helpful for you to feel balanced all around and
Absolutely.
then thus help your wellness.
And I think it also made me a better student. Ultimately, because it made me to where I was able to fill my cup in other areas and then dedicate myself fully to my studies. And then once I got into clinical, rotations, I was able to dedicate myself to those patients and really give time there. So I do feel like prioritizing my, wellness and realizing that I'm a whole human first did allow me to then give more of myself in my studies. And that did translate once I graduated from veterinary school into, my subsequent positions.
Mm-hmm.
Right out of school, I actually got a fellowship to conduct research at UC Berkeley. And so I did that for a year. And, the lab schedule was a fairly standard, 9 to 5 type of a job.
Mm-hmm.
There weren't a lot of nights that I, was up late into the night, working on a problem. There were occasional weekends, but it was, I would say, pretty typical of a 9 to 5. And so during that year, it was a fairly easy transition from vet school, where I had the rigidity of classes and, of clinical rotations, to then going to that where it's a fairly rigid structure. I'm expected to show up at 9, I leave at 5,
Right.
I leave my work there. So it was, to me, natural to continue my wellness journey into my first position is, okay, I'm out at 5. What are we doing tonight? Let's go explore. We moved from Georgia to California for that. So there was a lot of exploration to happen there.
Of course, yeah.
And I had just gotten married the week that we moved, a couple weeks after.
Talk about a lot of life changes.
Yeah. So graduated from vet school, got married the month after, drove across the country, 40-hour road trip, 4 days later. So
wow.
Everything at once. So I was able to really explore California and dedicate time to my new marriage, and do these things that I felt also, helped make me feel like a whole person, that had interests outside of the lab.
Yeah.
So that was a really great transition to be able to go from veterinary school into that position first.
Yeah, it's like a little landing spot.
Exactly.
And then, that's
it's
super.
like, okay, I know how to do this. That's great.
That is such a great perspective on it.
Yeah.
So, the last question is then, what are you most excited about as you help build this wellness program, as you help build the DVM support network based on your experiences and what you've seen of your colleagues' experience?
Yeah, so I think for me personally, I am the most excited about the mentorship aspect of DVM support.
Okay.
So after my lab position, I went into an associate position at a small animal hospital in California.
Mm-hmm.
And, I did receive really excellent mentorship for the first couple of months that I was there. And subsequently, I was put into a position of being the primary full-time veterinarian at a super busy hospital and was working kind of solo.
Jump right in. Yeah.
And so, during that year, I did get a good bit of mentorship, but I found myself wishing that I had something that, had a little bit more structure, and that there had been someone that I could reach out to when I was having, the typical struggles that happen during the first year of practice for pretty much everybody. So I think the DVM support mentorship network is really special because it is something that is intentional and has been, formulated to where you're able to be connected with somebody that can support you in the particular issues that you want support in. And similarly, for people who have been out there and experienced these things, they're able to sign up as mentors.
Yeah, right. And it's anybody can sign up.
Exactly. Yeah.
And where do they go to sign up?
So they can go to the DVM support website, so mypetswellness.net/DVM support.
Awesome.
And that has information on there for how they can sign up. It's, a very, I would say it's tailored to the individual. So it's something that if you have specific interests, most of the time we're able to accommodate it. And that's something that really excites me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think that that is a good place to stop.
Perfect.
This is so cool. Thank you so much for sharing that and sharing some of your experience with us and that wonderful wellness and balance that you discussed. I think as the escalating voice of our CEO out there having a discussion, so we will wrap up now. To be clear, he's not yelling; he just talks very loud. Thank you so much, Dr. Rebekah. Really appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for being here. And everybody else, please check out mypetswellness.net. And we wish you all the best. Until next time, take care.
Bye.
Bye.